Hi everybody, welcome to today's Ask an Expert session. This is where you get to ask anything. So the agenda for today is welcome and introduction. You're going to meet the team. We're going to go through some housekeeping and then we will ask those questions. Meeting the team. So my name is Liliana Peneva. I am a Customer Success Manager at Actionstep. I have been with Actionstep since February this year, and I absolutely love helping our customers to optimize their usage of our software. Then we've got our first expert, Duncan. Duncan is a product manager. And Duncan is a long-standing member of our Actionstep product team. So he takes your feedback and helps to plan all the improvements that we make to Actionstep. Duncan has been with Actionstep for almost 8 years now and has a wide range of knowledge of Actionstep and how it works. In his spare time, Duncan likes but says he's not very good at sketching and tabletop games. Hello, Duncan.
Hi, everyone.
And then we have our expert, Robert. He is a technical support agent. He is one of Actionstep's most experienced members, and Robert has a deep wealth of information that today you can drop your bucket into. He has been an in-house system implementation and configuration manager and currently handles technical queries from the support team. Outside of Actionstep, Robert enjoys fitness, reading, and nature. He is very much looking forward to your questions. Housekeeping. So we will get to as many questions as possible. But if we do not answer your question today, we will send out a copy of our user guide article after the session answering all of the questions. A few topics that we won't cover during this session is product releases and product features, but we will cover anything related to your Actionstep system. Now I'd like to welcome the floor for questions. Please comment your questions in the chat section. Great. So our first question, I'd love to hand over to you, Robert. It is, how do you write off unrecoverable WIP timesheet entries?
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Liliana. So when we say WIP, we're talking about work in progress. And so that is also known as, time entry, and it even includes disbursements if you want to include that. So, okay, so if we head over to a system here, this is a test system. The first thing that we want to really consider is whether or not you want to write off that amount at the invoice stage or at the sort of time entry stage. So perhaps you already know that you're not going to get this money for this work that you've done, and so you can actually handle it at that, before you even put it to the invoice. And so the way you do that is that, so say we did it for this particular matter here, and we go to the plus button up here, we'll go to time entry.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Robert.
Yes.
I'm seeing your screen. Maybe, hopefully others are, but I'm not sure if we're seeing your screen at the moment.
Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, screen. Let's do this one. Thank you very much, Duncan. There we go. Okay. Duncan, all okay now? Do you think?
Looks perfect.
Yep, brilliant. Okay, thanks for that. Okay, sweet. So we're looking at this matter here, 64 Gully Road purchase. I've just gone up to the plus button up here and then gone to time entry. And so so say we did some work, communications to the client, but we're going to, maybe we had this sort of agreement that we wanted to write off all the communications that we're going to have with the client. So we'll just say communications, in the description, we'll say that we worked 1 hour, perhaps, and we still want to say that these hours are billable. So these are still going to turn up on our fee earners reporting as billable hours that they've worked. However, we don't want to charge for them, and so so we have that option here of the bill behavior setting. So we can either choose to hide, which will not show the work on the invoice, and also not present that total, not add to the invoice total so that they don't have to pay that. Or we can choose no charge, which will show the work on the invoice. So it's going to show, we did do this work, but we're such good people here that we're not going to charge you. Okay, so you could do it like that, right? But I do also want to show you the other way. So say you were expecting to get this bill fully paid, and this work was chargeable. So if we do that, we'll choose bill, and we'll save that. And then we head over to billing. So we're going to invoice this. And let's save and approve it. Let's just say that that was all correct. Okay, excellent. So we've got a bill here in the bill production screen awaiting payment. But say that as is the question, how do we write off these fees? We're not going to get the money back for them, sadly. So what we will do is we can choose to create a payment, or we can click into the invoice here. And we're going to go down to the more option, and we're going to say create write-off. So this is just going to do the write-off, and there's a note here. You can write. Yep, sweet. So that's just talking about our Xero integration. I wonder if I've chosen a test database that has Xero connected. No, we haven't. Okay, good. So so that's created the write-off, and then if we were to sort of find that invoice in the bills list again, or we were to click back into it and refresh the screen, then we would see that I believe it was this one. That the amount has now been written off and the balance is now Xero. So that is how you would do that. Okay, next question, I believe.
Great. So the next question that we have is over to you, Duncan. How do you go about charging an admin fee when you cannot show it as a disbursement on an invoice?
Super, thanks for that. So this question is centred around, particularly important for New Zealand customers, around the New Zealand Law Society requires that the expenses that you incur as you're servicing your clients appear differently on your invoice. So the need is for, obviously, costs that you incur directly can appear as disbursements, but for any what accountants call soft disbursements, any costs that you incur in the normal use of running your office should appear as a separate section. And these tend to be things like photocopying, courier fees, mileage, parking, things along those lines. And so while Actionstep doesn't have a built-in function to be able to address this, there is a workaround that you can do. And the workaround involves an update to your invoice template or your bill template. As hopefully most of you are aware, you can have a custom bill template in Actionstep. So you can take the standard ones we have, or you can customize your own. And as you build in a custom one, you are able to change exactly how it is working and what results it gives you. Now, if I can bring up an example of a custom template that we've built that has this, and I'll zoom in so you can actually see what it's got. You can see in this, I have a section for office expenses, and I've got another section for disbursements. And the idea is that underneath these different sections, underneath office expenses, it's going to list off any of the office expenses I have, and under disbursements, it's going to list off the disbursements I have. Now, what this is actually doing is both of these are actually showing the disbursements. And apologies here, I am leaping straight into our invoice templates, which is sort of the darkest, deepest parts of Actionstep merge fields. So I'll talk in broad terms of what you're trying to achieve, but we'll make sure that we have a user guide article that we can point people towards if they want to actually copy and paste some of these merge fields that I'll talk about. So if I was to expand on this repeat block, you can see this is actually the repeat block, which is showing all the line items that I have in my invoice. So it's showing, basically saying all the fees and disbursements, which are the line items that go into an invoice, show all of them. But within that repeat block, we have an if statement. So Actionstep obviously offers conditional merge field options, which you can control what's actually appearing within your system. Now, in this case, what we're doing is we're looking for individual line items, and we're checking to see what general ledger account they are coded towards. So if a disbursement is coded towards a particular income account, let's call it office expenses, then we can make sure that that shows. We can check to see, is this line item coded to that general ledger account? So for argument's sake, in this case, my office expenses general ledger account is 4-1300. And so what this if statement is checking is the general ledger account for each line item set to that particular general ledger account. So the account in the income account in your chart of accounts, that's linked to that. And if it is, it's going to effectively show this title. It'll show the title of it, it'll show the amount. And then I've got an else statement. Again, things have been shortened here for simplicity. So the else is saying, so if line item does not match that particular income account, then use this merge field, which is, again, I'll expand it. Apologies for going back and forth, but this is a particular special merge field we have to delete a row in your table. And so basically it's saying that if the line item is not coded to that particular income account, then it's going to delete that row. So the repeat block would show everything, every single line item, but it's going to delete any of the items that are not office expenses. And because it's doing that, effectively, it's only going to show off the office expenses. And we've got similar merge fields, similar repeat block and if statements that are appearing in the disbursements. So again, it's going to be listing off all of the disbursements that are not coded to that particular GL account. And again, I won't get into all the details of exactly what the merge fields are and so forth, but we will put that in an article and be able to send it out to people so that they can be able to access it. Now, once you've got this template in your system and set up, to be able to use it effectively, it means that when your staff are recording office expenses, they can still record a disbursement as normal. But what they want to make sure is that the income account is set to your office expenses disbursement account. And this one, so it could be administration fee, for example. And if it's set to that, then the template will pull through and only show any of the disbursements in one section, and any that don't match that, it's going to show in another section. So you'd still have your users creating disbursements, but effectively by choosing the income account, they are setting what that disbursement will be. Now, the important tip for users here is to consider your disbursement templates. So you can obviously create a whole lot of disbursement templates in Actionstep. And if you are setting them up, part of what you set up with the disbursement template is choosing what the default fee, what the default general ledger account will be. So all of your standard office expenses can all have a template and they'll all be coded to the correct thing. So staff doesn't even have to remember to change the GL accounting. They're effectively choosing the templates, entering them in as they normally would, and then the heavy lifting, the manual work is done within that invoice template. A little bit complicated there, but hopefully I've caught the essence of what you can do to set this up. And as I said, all the actual individual merge fields that you include. We can include a copy of that template in an article to point you towards.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay, so I guess I'll just go on to the next one. So I've got one here from Claudia. I will share my screen. Just a moment. And choose that one. So the question was, is there a report that can be run that will show all tasks by matter on all matters for a specific operator? On a related issue, is there a way to have a task show for multiple people without assigning it to those people, i.e. a supervisor having visibility of an operator's tasks? So there's a yes to both those questions. The first question of just, is there a list that shows all tasks for all matters and who they're assigned to? That is just a default tasks list that comes in every Actionstep system, just already there, already set up for you. And the way you find that is you can just go up to sort of tasks up the top here, go to everyone, go to all, and from here you can use the filters to show you tasks with all statuses, complete and incomplete, as well as a due date that is just all encompassing. And then if we submit that, then that's got no sort of barriers in terms of matters and matter types to it. It just sort of lists out some basic details of the tasks, as you can see there, and then it's also got the assigned to column as well. So that's the first sort of list that will help you out. And for the second one, that one's interesting because it is something that can be done in Actionstep as well. So for that one, what we want to do is we actually want to create a custom task list view. And to do that, we'll just head over to admin, and we will go to custom list views. And you'll see here there's an option for task list views. So we'll click into that. We've got one here. I was just playing around a bit earlier, just as I saw your question. And so I've created this list called tasks with Principal Solicitor. I'm using Principal Solicitor as a substitute for your supervisor, but obviously, so I'm using that because the matter that I'm using, the matter type, has a participant type called Principal Solicitor, but obviously your matter type will have a supervisor, but that's just as easily added into a custom task list view, as you'll soon see. So if we just take a look at the properties of this list view, I just clicked into the ID number there. That's a little trick, but if you want to do it a bit more clearly, then you select the tick box over here and click Edit List Properties. And so here you set all the sort of attributes like the name, properties, who it's visible for, and I've just made sure in the locked filters to have a clear locked filters list. So it's just grabbing everything. Obviously, if you wanted to sort of restrict it by action type or step or something like that, then this is the place to do it. So we'll cancel out of there, and where we can add in our supervisor or just our extra participant type is in the columns. So we can do that just by clicking into the name over here. And so we've got a few columns here, just different details of the tasks. However, what we want to do is we want to click Add Column. We would, in your situation, we would type in supervisor. However, as I'm doing the Principal Solicitor, I will type that in. Now, for the data source, we're going to want to choose action participant 1 row per action. What the 1 row per action is, just as a side note, is that if there's more than one principal solicitor added to the matter, then it's not going to add a separate row for that particular task. It's just going to group all the principal solicitors together into that one row. And so we're going to select a position. So you just type a number in, and you can sort of see the other numbers for reference to what position you want to put in. But here's where we're going to add in our participant data. So I would type in principal solicitor. Okay. And then I'm going to want to show the name of the principal solicitor. So if I wanted, like, the number, then that would be something that I'll type number, but I want the name. So I'm going to type in display name. And there's our data that we want to draw into this list. So I'm going to save that. And we can preview it just over here by clicking preview. And here you go. It's actually Duncan that is the principal solicitor in many of these for all these tasks. And you can see that there's other rows. Each row represents a separate task and has these sort of task details added to it. And of course, as you can see back here, there's tons of options for what you can draw into these task views. So that's not just the limit right there. If we were to just have a quick look around, we can check out the data source of task. We've got all these details here, and then you can even go into things like the action details and the participant details as we just showed before. Yeah, so that's how you would do that, Claudia. Okay. Next question.
Sure. Thanks, Robert. And just to add to that point, also one thing that I've seen some of our customers do is create list views based on a tag. So for all of the tasks that you do create in Actionstep, you can create different tags. You can have these tags applied if they're automatic tasks. They're created as part of a step change, or you can manually add them in. And I have seen customers who will effectively put a team in under here. So again, as you're creating list views, one of the columns you can put in place for your tasks is the tag, and effectively they use that. So it doesn't actually matter who the task is assigned to. They know that the people who are on the compliance team go through and look at all the tasks that are due for compliance, and anyone can pick it up and anyone can complete it. Robert's completely right. With multiple ways you can attack that, so I thought I'd share that for you. But the next question I can see came in from Maeve. Is there a way to get a report on just unpaid invoices? And similar to the previous answer, yes, and there's multiple ways you can do it. So the first most obvious one that I want to point towards is the bills list. So the bills list is going to show you all of the bills within Actionstep. And just like a lot of the list views that we have in Actionstep, you're able to filter this down to get the information that you're after. So depending on what your actual need is, this is a great place to be able to start. Come in, have a look at all the bills lists. If I go into the filters for this list view, you can see I can filter this down by the payment status. So the payment status down here will show what the payment status of that invoice is, whether it's fully paid, not paid at all, part paid, or unpaid. Now, in this question, you're wanting to see ones that are unpaid. Now, unpaid could be what you're after, but you might even be wanting ones that are still due. I'm reading more into your question here than what you're actually asking. But if you're after ones that haven't been paid at all, obviously select unpaid, click apply or save, and you'll only be seeing invoices that have not had any payment made against them. If you're wanting to see any invoices that have a due amount, you can only select one payment status to view the other at a time, but the other way around that is to come down to the due column. So if I scroll this list view over to the right, we'll see there is a column. I can't do that and have the filter open at once. There it comes. For due, how much is due on that invoice? So I can filter by that. So I can filter by anything. And for all of the amounts, the filters work on a from and a to. So if I wanted to look for a specific range, I could put anything from $10 to $50. I'm not sure why you want to, but you can. But in this case, I'm after with anything that's got a due amount of anything above zero. So I can quite easily, excuse me, a little bit of delay, come in here and just put in 1 cent and submit that, and it's going to show me all the invoices that owe at least 1 cent or more in my system. So I'm able to easily see all of them. Now, you might actually be after a report, which is what you asked about, not a list view. List views are great for being able to, if you're wanting to work into Actionstep yourself and do things and be able to look in and access things and open the invoice, etc. But if you're looking for a report, I would recommend that you use our aged receivables report. So if you go into reports, billing reports, and apologies if my system's going slow, it seems that sharing my camera and my screen slows down my computer a bit. There's too much beautiful on screen at once. He says, obviously lying. Under aged receivables, aged receivables is obviously designed for you to be able to highlight things that are overdue, as the name suggests, but you don't have to limit it to just things that are overdue. You can see any invoices that are due at the moment. So if I report on the invoice created date, and I'll choose today, when I view that on screen, I'm going to see all of the invoices that are outstanding. Obviously, the report will break it down by how outstanding it is. So particularly if you are looking to solve your problem of addressing overdue bills, then this report would be great for that. And do remember that this report does have a whole lot of advanced filters that you can work in as well. So if you're wanting to see matter statuses, a particular data, if you're wanting to look at particular groups, have summaries, more details, whatever you're after, there should be a whole lot of ways you can customize this report to dig down into the details that you're really after when it comes to that. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thanks, Duncan. Okay, back to me. I'll share my screen. So we've got a couple of questions from Kevin here. Thanks, Kevin. Yep. So the first one, I keep on doing this, don't I? I'll stop sharing screen just a moment so that you don't get that sort of that sort of infinity effect. So Kevin, yes, we did have a live chat. We did trial the sort of live chat functionality on our support team for a while. We just found that in terms of customer satisfaction, overall it was going down because of the level of technical capability that we were able to offer our customers, and the ability to prioritize based on urgency was affected detrimentally as well. So that's why we've sort of gone back to the email system. However, our employees are well trained in identifying urgent issues and sort of prioritizing as such. And so just send us an email, and we'll look at it and we'll prioritize with urgency if indeed it is urgent. So thank you for that. Okay, so and then looking at your other question here, so when preparing a new invoice, I will start sharing my screen. Okay, so when preparing a new invoice, you say that you have your sort of your fees set when you create your invoice. So and then it changes. So then you lose them when you sort of change the fee earner. What happens in Actionstep is that when you save your draft and when you change your invoice from a draft into an approved invoice, what you've set at the draft stage stays. So basically, any changes that you want to make to your invoice must be made at the draft stage. So if we're looking at a draft bill here, I can change sort of who I'm billing at this point. I can sort of change the time entries in here, and change them for maybe I want to change this to 4 hours billed, all right, 750. And I could even change like the fee allocation. So, this will feed through to our sort of fee allocation, our fee split reports, and show, how much our fee, the fee earners have been, contributing to each invoice. And but then as soon as I sort of click save and approve, and I make this bill an approved bill, these attributes and these details can't then be changed unless you were to sort of revert them back to a draft and delete the invoice and redo it. So the only thing that you can then really do for this invoice is you can sort of print out the invoice templates, and you can pay them, pay it off as well, or as we saw before, write it off. So yeah, perhaps there's maybe a little bit of confusion in the sort of in the process, and again, I'd encourage you to sort of contact us at support@actionstep.com. And we can sort of help you out with maybe some screenshots. That would be awesome. Thank you. Okay. So, any other questions?
Super.
Yeah.
I'll take another. Again, please encourage people to be able to type in your questions in, and we should be able to get through with them. Cheryl asks if there's any tips for preparing template letters. Which is a great question, which I'll try and keep just to the tips, rather than diving too much into it. But the first and most obvious tip that I have to give people is to use our plugin for Word. So we do have a plugin for Word specifically for building document templates, and it's great for letter templates. So if you have not installed this already, I strongly recommend you go to our support guide. We've got pages on how you can install it. Once it's installed, you will find this Action Step tab appearing across the top, and when you click on Action Step, you'll get this panel appearing to the right. And the great thing about this is that you firstly start off by choosing which type of matter you're wanting to build the template for. You can obviously have multiple different types, letters that will work across different matter types, but some of the information that you might be wanting to do is specific to a particular matter type. Either way, you choose the type, and then you can actually choose a matter within your system to be able to pull information from. Hopefully I've connected this to a system I also have on screen. But the benefit of this is that sometimes particularly when you're preparing document templates in Actionstep, understanding the name of the field that you're wanting to put into Actionstep can be difficult. But the beauty of this is that it's actually searching for things, and it's going to show you what the values are on your matter. So it actually will help you. So let's start with, here I have a basic template, and insert the name of your business here. And I'm going to pretend that I want to put in the client's name there. So within the panel, I can click Insert Merge Fields, and I can choose what type it is. So am I wanting to pull through from the data collections on the matter? Am I wanting to pull in through details of from the matter itself, or the matter parties, or just some other general options we've got here? Because I'm wanting to pull through the name of the client, I'll click into matter parties, and then I'm going to search for client name. Oh, pardon me. Select the party matter. I'm going to choose client, pardon me, and then I'm going to search for the name. Now you can see that there are a few different options I can choose from for name. So this is actually showing you all the options that you can use for name. So if I scroll down, I can see client first name, last name. Let's use that one. I can click insert on that. And what it's going to do automatically is in my document, it's inserted that as a merge field. So if you're used to inserting merge fields in Actionstep, I can toggle this. I can see what the actual merge field is itself, but you don't have to understand that. So we definitely have had lots of feedback that it's a little bit of a barrier to learn the coding that we use, but this panel helps you out an amazing amount, because you're effectively looking for plain English instead of code, should make it easier. So any details you want to pull through from the participants on the matter, from whether it's their email address, addresses, names that you want to show, etc., can all be pulled through here. The custom data on the matter will be the data collections. So depending on which data collection you've got, I've got a data collection which captures, transfers. And so from here, I can see all of the fields that I've got for transfers. So the state of the degree of the relationship is a field that I have on my matter. And if I want to insert that into my document, it's nice and simple to be able to do it. So definitely start there and use this tool. As I say, particularly for letter templates, it works brilliantly because it's going to be pulling all the details you want from the matter into the template. There are some more complex options that Actionstep offers with merge fields that aren't yet available through this tool. We will look to expand it in the future. But for your letter templates, it's really good. Other tips I can give people: if you can't find a merge field you're after there, particularly if you're working on a document template that's not to do with something you're wanting to generate from a matter, if you're working on a receipt template or a check template or any other thing else, come into admin under document assembly. You will find the list of merge fields in Actionstep. And this will be every single merge field you have in Actionstep is available here to be able to pull through and copy and paste it into your documents. The tips and tricks for this, I would strongly recommend using the filter. You can see this system has 1,463 individual merge fields, so please don't scroll for your own sanity. Please do use the filters to try and find something. So I would strongly recommend that you use the merge field name to try and find what you're particularly after. If you've got an idea of what it's called, type that in. Also use the merge field description. So if the name doesn't draw out what you're after, then things like the description normally will. And the other thing that's very useful when you're looking at the filters is looking at the data source. So you can see we've got a whole lot that are to do with bills. These are merge fields specifically for using in your bill templates in Actionstep, your invoice templates. So if you're after things around how to display details about the particular fees in your bills, you can click on this, apply that filter, and you're going to see all of the different options which you can show in there. So tip number one is use the tool we have. Tip number two is use your merge of list fields. And the last, I'll say second to last, I'll give 4 tips. If I go back to document assembly, then the merge field testing tool is also a really handy tool, especially when you're getting into more complex things like those conditional if statements I've shown you before. If you're repeating blocks, again, like I showed you in my very first example, being able to do them here first, you can choose what type of template it is, choose the matter that you're wanting to run it on, have a look at 32. And effectively, it's going to, any merge fields you enter into here, it's going to give you the output. So at the moment, it's got the action ID for, and you can see I'm running on matter 32. The output it's going to give me, hey, there's the result, 32. So you can pre-enter in your document merge fields in here, test them, and once they're working, you can copy and paste them straight into your actual document. The last thing I am going to give for a tip for document assembly is go into the Help Center and look for merge field options. Now, lots of the standard merge fields that we have in Actionstep are just enter the merge field, get a result. But some of the merge fields have different options. You can add to that sort of code of the merge field to change the result it's going to get. So obvious options are things like PT equals will pull through the different participant types of your on your matter. We've got ones that will change the format. So you can change the format of how a phone number will appear, how a date will appear. We've got options which will show numbers as text, and you can choose record numbers. You can choose what happens if it's true or false. There's a whole lot of different options in here. So definitely using those 3 tools of the list view, the merge field testing tool, and this help screen on our user guide are all the tools you need to be able to create merge fields and templates with an action step. But obviously, please make your life easier by using that document assembly tool in Word as well.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Duncan. All right. So we've got a question here from Maeve. What is the best accounting package to get for integration? This is something that I can kind of advise on just from the information that's out there, but I am sort of an action step expert, and so you know, if I was to sort of go into detail about the QuickBooks and the Xero integration, you know, it would be quite limited. But you know, I would like to first of all recommend the action step accounting. I know that you've specified here the integration sort of package that you're looking for. However, the action step does have a very capable accounting platform. So if we were to just go into here, the sort of menu down here, we can see that you have access to things like, you know, well, basically everything that you need in terms of accounting, which is, you know, the accounts list, general journals, GST returns, key performance indicators, and budget. The list goes on, and it's all encompassing and very comprehensive. And also a benefit of the using the action step accounting module is that, you know, it works well with the billing system that we have in place. Things like when you set up a Xero or a QuickBooks integration, sometimes you make mistakes. Okay. And often, you know, sometimes you need to reverse transactions. And when you know how to do that with the Xero integration, you know, it's easy. But it's just like it's just a little sort of roadblock that some users you know, find frustrating, that you just need to go and unlink the invoice from the admin area from Xero first, and then, you know, redo it in action step. And then you've got this sort of double entry thing going on where you have to make sure the invoice is correct in the Xero side of things as well. So that's just a fair warning. And but when it comes down to, you know, what integration is better, and I'm just going to sort of assume sort of talking about Xero versus QuickBooks here. Just the sort of slight information that I have about them is that QuickBooks is the sort of more boutique one. So if you're looking for more advanced features, more advanced reporting, you know, and perhaps even well, QuickBooks is more the US option rather than the sort of the sort of global option, and like, you know, Pacific, Australia and New Zealand option, which is Xero. They've sort of more specialized towards that. But yeah, QuickBooks is the sort of more advanced option, and you're going to pay a bit more of a fee for it. Whereas Xero, you know, it's better for, like, you've got sort of a smaller business, perhaps you want to keep costs a bit lower, and you like, you know, more minimalist sort of more of a minimalist user interface. Then that's Xero is probably going to appeal for you a bit more. But again, I would encourage you to sort of, if you're looking at accounting systems, really consider the action step accounting. You know, another benefit is that we've got all these great sort of accounting reports that that sort of tie into our billing reports, and yeah, you sort of you can't really go wrong. And you don't have to sort of, well, fork out for, you know, 2 subscription fees, you know. So when you choose Xero or QuickBooks, you're going to pay an extra subscription fee, whereas, you know, well, I say that, but then also, you know, if you're wanting the accounting with ActionStep, then you will need the sort of boutique version of the product, which is Practice Pro plus accounting. So yeah, you would get all the benefits of the workflow admin as well as the accounting, but at the sort of at the top price there for us. And yeah, and that's just sort of the most easy option to use when it comes to sort of handling errors, and yeah, that's really what all I can kind of say about that one. But hopefully that helped you out a bit there, Maeve. All right. I could do the.
I'd also
Yep.
add into that, talk to your accountant. And typically, and this is based on experience, most people will go with the one their accountant knows and likes.
Exactly.
So if your accountant knows Xero, then definitely go ahead with that. If they don't know QuickBooks as much, then that's not as compelling. But the integration between Actionstep and both of them will work very similar. So that they still push data through in very similar ways. So from a usability point of view, there's not a lot of pros and cons. It more comes down to which one you and your team would prefer to be working in. Sorry if you had further to go on there, Robert. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that was good. That was good. Yep, still active.
I can see another question here. Sky has asked about tags. Some more information on tags into list views. And it is a great question. One thing to note that we do have tags within Actionstep that you can use against a number of different things. You can assign tags to contacts, to tasks, to file notes, are the common three. And you are able to pull through those tags into list views, but each do function in a slightly different capacity. And the important thing to do, Sky did call out being able to see them based on a list view for file notes. You can get them into list views for file notes, but there is only one list view per matter of file notes. So the only list view we have of file notes in Actionstep is based on your matter. So if you come into your matter, come into your actual file notes screen, you can see all of these file notes as a list view instead. So you'll see up the top, beside the button to create a new file note, you do have a list view option. And when you click in here, you can see all of your file notes in a list view format. So it can help for things like searching for particular ones because you've got those filters that you can apply to this as well. But you can see that tags is one of the columns that we have here. And if I again go into filters, I'm able to filter down by my tags. And so you can see in here, you can even multi-select ones. So if I wanted to see all the ones that were about a phone call, I can easily select that, but I could also select multiple ones. I can see ones about phone calls and compliance together. So you're able to filter down and see all of that. As I said, the limitation, unlike things like tasks and contacts, which are global, you can have global views of. File notes, you're just limited to the individual matter to be able to see them. But you can get to list views with those tasks and tags in them.
Awesome. Okay, and we've got a question here from Gainer. Can you relate a matter when the matter has already been set up, e.g. closed matter? Yes, you can. So if I was, I'll just share my screen. Once again, head over to the matter over here. You can see here that we've got a family law matter, Warren Family Law, and we've got a matter type set up to be a related matter as an option, and that is family law. So we're just relating family law matters to other family law matters at the moment. Of course, if you wanted to add to this list of related matter types that are available, then you would just sort of head over to the admin area for this matter type, family law, click into the related matter types, add the related matter type over here, choose the one that you want, save it. And of course, you can sort of map the parties and the custom data fields that come over it as well by doing the below what you can see here, mapping the parties. So okay, so let's see if we well, let's take an existing matter. As you can see here, we've got one here, Wilson Family Law, and if we search for that, so that one's already been set up. Family law, there it is, status. And if we sort of click done, we've got a related matter there. So that can be done, Gainer. Thank you for your question.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert, for answering those questions, and thank you, Duncan, for answering those questions too. I'm going to wrap up our questions here. If you have posted in the chat your questions and they haven't been answered today, we will come back to you. I would also like to open up the chat for you guys to let us know what type of topics you would like to see in our future webinars, so that we know what we'd love to show you next. And before we close off, I would like to also thank everybody for joining us. So everybody that registered for this webinar will receive a video recording. And if you have any questions at all about anything that was discussed today, please reach out to us at customersuccess@actionstep.com. Thanks again, Duncan. Thanks again, Robert. And thanks again, everybody, for joining. Have a lovely day.
Thanks, everyone.